Today on Cooking with Naswalt, we'll examine the humble grilled cheese. One that can be elevated by some very simple decisions. For instance, instead of using butter or even sometimes a bacon fat, I'll actually opt for a mayonnaise. I'm gonna grab some Parmesan, and even the shaky cheese Parmesan of your spaghetti variety will actually work phenomenally for this. So we have just enough mayonnaise to get this sticking to the bread. Cheese side down. So I got some, and then I just got some. It's what I had sitting around in my fridge for some other meals. I want some of this cheese to be a structural binder that's gonna help keep the bread together. There we go. This side we're gonna give maybe about 2 minutes, and afterwards we're gonna enjoy ourselves a nice crispy grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese is the very first thing I ever learned how to cook, and retrowave's similar to that. Or synthwave, or new wave, or whatever you want to end up making. You know, you just throw in a little bit of unexpected elements, and you end up with something that a lot of people are going to enjoy. You've probably had a lot of fun making. Take this, for instance. This was just whipped up in a heartbeat, ripping off the Magdalena Bay Body song. What's the song you want to rip off? And then what is the unexpected element you can add to it? So let's start off here with the most important element, the synth bass. All right, I don't care what you say about the right drum sounds or the right chords or effects, tape saturation and warble that you want to add. This is the cheese to your grilled cheese. You can end up using a Heisenberg or a space if you want, but you're going to save a lot of time by starting off with the pulve. We're going to go all the way up to our sawtooth waveform, and we're just going to start listening. About there, at our third octave, we have a really rich sound. So let's take our little offbeat doo-doo-doo. That's going to be the basis for almost every bass line. Let's make it plucky. Let's speed it up. Let's mess it up with some pulse width modulation and maybe get an even brighter tone in there. Now let's detune that. The only thing that you really need to do after getting a pretty rich, bright sound, and that's going to be our filter envelope. So I have all of the body of the bass right here, and I'm going to go and just start bringing in a filter envelope. There is our synth bass. I have our sustain going on the filter envelope, so we're going to be hanging out and not just cutting it all the way down to nothing. Let's make it monophonic. You can do an entire synthwave track just off of using a pulve, taking these settings generically applied, messing with the amount of decay and just changing the octaves that it's playing at. And that's a lead synth, that's a synth bass, that's your chords, it's everything. But I'm going to go through and kind of give our synths some variety through effects. So with our synth bass, it's very simple. We have our bass right here from our band splitter. And then we have the grit to the bass that gives it all of its sound and timbre. Now, I'm not putting the stereo to tune on all of the sub of the bass. I'm putting it on all the grit that's riding on top of that. So it's not going to end up taking out and killing all of the bass of the bass. And now I'm going to start playing around with the filter and the spacing on the filter. We got a great sound to start with. I'm thinking song-wise, do some calm trues, some like the midnight, but I kind of want to get something a little bit more lively feeling with a lot of energy to it. All right, here we go. Like Duran Duran's Invisible. So I'm going to be kind of hanging out in what I think is like B minor. So let's go ahead and just start marking down some of those notes, like very simply. Let's get some cool chords on top of that. Pretty bright waveforms. I'm going to get us a couple of varieties. And just same deal. Got to detune it a little bit, mess with it some, and let's give it some warble. Like. That's decent. That's good. Super fast flanger. I'm just going to take our feedback and depth all the way down. So I'm going to use our quasar, and I'm going to give us some vibrato, make it sound a little unstable. Got to crank the dampening up, and then it's just all the way to our chords. Turned it down an octave just to get us some broody darkness. On our third pulversatizer is just to get an ARP going, because it's retro wave. Man, what do you want? What do you want from me? Leave me alone. Leave me. I don't know you. There we go. And then we'll take our end notes and we'll just switch them up. We have this ARP kind of operating like a lead, going to be dragging a lot of people's attention to it. We're going to make it sound the crappiest out of all of them. That way it truly sounds old. Let's smear it with some chorus. So we have the bones of the track completely done here. This synth bass is going to be all grit. All of our focus is on the high end that gives it that character and aggressiveness. We're going to play it like we're chugging on an electric guitar. So we're going to think of a riff that we can have with this. And I'm thinking very simply just some 8th or 16th notes. Daga, daga, daga. Bada, 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 bada. And just following along with these notes. Da, 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 da. Let's make it sound nice. Bring a square wave in, lower it. Stereo to tune and knock out some of the low end. So here's the advantage. Listen to these two together. I don't know. I want it to sound creepy, a little funky, kind of like our Duran Duran track, so I'm going to listen to that a little bit more and rework some of our composition here. Okay, here is what our issue is. Everything is happening all at once. Our inspiration has where everything is trading off. It'll be bass and then it'll be chords. So the dum, 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 dum. Everything has a place. We're going to completely rework this, all right? There we go. So I was just way off on what the chord progression was. And I think what I would want to do is to give this a slight walk up right there. On our more aggressive bass, we're going to ba-dum, ba-dum, ba, ba. That's fun. That's cool. I'm gonna like this. So now we got something pretty cool rolling. Our drums are going to go into their own mixer, and we're going to have where the drums are reinforcing everything happening. I don't like starting off with drums for retrowave unless I have a really good groove in mind. So let's go ahead and give each of these their own channel. Thumpy. I like that. Let's lay down the bones of our drums, which will be a simple 4 on the floor, but we're not going to stick there. And every other snare is going to get a clap on it. So our hi-hats aren't going to serve the purpose of just being a just steady, constant subdivider. They're going to play a part in building the rhythm. And then we're going to use our second hi-hat to really fill up the groove. Drums are sounding pretty good, and we can start to really build on their own kind of synth effects because we want these to sound fake. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's just let's split it. And this will be our main. All right. And this will be our effects. A lot of damping. This is going to be how we accomplish just a quick have everything playing together, a pretty high energy for 120 BPM, and we're going to add some vocals to it. We're going to develop a verse by stripping down our chorus here, and going to have ourselves a retrowave track.